Okay, recording. Last time I forgot to push record, so I just wanted to make sure I pushed record this time. Welcome, you guys. Happy, what is it, Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Happy Wednesday evening.
Yes.
I don't know what day it is right now, but welcome to Full Circle Coaching. We're here with Adriana Lopez Phipps, one of my Ironman athletes who just finished Ironman Florida. We said almost 2 weeks ago, about 10 days ago. And we are excited to talk about her journey to Ironman because it definitely was an exciting one, wouldn't you say? So
Yes, it
Adriana,
was.
yeah, why don't you introduce yourself? And we just figured out 2 seconds ago that we've known each other and been training off and on together for almost 10 years, right?
Yes.
That's crazy, right? Awesome.
So
Okay.
I'm Adriana Phipps. I've been with Erin now, like she was saying, we figured out for 10 years. I've been working with her in different levels, like from the beginner level to up to the Ironman right now. So she brought me up to this point. And I'm a mother of 2. I have 2 children. I have a son that's 23 years old. His name is Adrian. That made me a grandmother. I have a 3-month baby girl called Aria. And I have a daughter that she's in the University of Florida, Alexa, and she's 21. She's going to be 21 in December. So
Awesome.
that's a little bit about myself.
Iron Abuela, your new nickname.
Exactly. Iron Abuela, they call me now.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it.
We also had another cool situation where Adriana met her now husband through Full Circle Coaching, right?
Yes. What we did is I was with Erin, and through her boyfriend Ryan, may he rest in peace, when he passed away. Dennis used to race with him. He used to race with him professionally, right?
Yeah.
He used to be in the Pro 123.
Yeah.
And he put something on Facebook saying, "This is a difficult day." And I'm like, "I know what you're talking about." And I go, "Erin, this guy reached out to me that he wants to do like a memorial ride for Ryan."
Yeah.
And then you talked to me, and that's how we all came together. Even though at that point in time we did not get together.
No.
We just organized the event, and then after several months after that, we did get together. He became a triathlete.
Exactly.
He was tri.
It was a very so we just interviewed Dennis last week because he also did the Ironman Florida, but it's kind of cool because it really is a full circle moment, right? That you guys started, you just met each other as friends, creating the memorial, and then you ended up getting married, and then he became a triathlete, and now you guys both just finished the Ironman. That's kind of a cool story.
Our first Ironman, yes. It is pretty cool.
Yeah. So when we first started, like a long time ago, I remember you coming to me for just sprints, though. I remember you had a Rossetti road bike and you were just getting started, but did you ever imagine that you would do an Ironman?
Absolutely not. What happened is that I've always started with sprints because my weakest of the 3 has always been running. Running for me has always been the weakest. And I'm like, I'm not going to run past 3 miles. I'm not going to run 6. I'm not going to run, a half iron. All these distances are like, there's no way. And I didn't have a tri bike until 7 years doing this. I always had my road bike. And then finally I invested in a tri bike, and it made a big difference. And I got more confidence you got me more confidence into running. I would do the walk run, and I just made it happen. So I never thought I was going to complete an Ironman ever.
So we also had the setback with you as far as COVID, right? You guys signed up in 2019, and then you deferred to 2020 for the Ironman Florida, and then it reverted again to 2021 Ironman Florida, right? So it was the same kind of thing with everybody else. But I do remember some of the best videos that, of course, your husband is a great videographer, even on the bike. So he was able to capture these like badass videos of you on your new Trek bike, like in your aero position, holding 22 miles an hour and like looking like such a badass. And then we never got to like deliver on all that training, right? And then last weekend we finally did after all that hard work, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about like the journey itself, because we definitely had our setbacks, right? And you mentioned a little bit about the running, that you had like chronic compartment syndrome in your lower leg. And so that was something that we had to deal with all the time. Every time we would ramp up for running, you would have these setbacks and have lots of pain. And so we had to come up with a way that you could still achieve the goal, and manage all that pain, right? So let's talk a little bit about all the different things we did. Physical therapy, strength training, toe yoga.
Yes. It was a lot of also working with the walk run, working with my heart rate train, a lot of stretching, instructed by you, the toe yoga, the strength. Also, what helped me, I have to mention too, is Dr. Richard Alexander, Dr. 305, chiropractor. He, you met him as well. They did a lot of the ultrasound on my calves and Ray over there. They helped me. I mean, now it became to the point that I was running, my calves would not bother me at all. Another issue came up.
Yes.
not what they fixed, but that's part of, that's what the Ironman training is, right? It's not going to be pain-free. You're going to suffer one area of it and then learn how to embrace it. But they helped me a lot. The other thing that helped me too is towards the end is massages. And I did it with Selena from Andante Bike. She gives the best massages too. So I had a lot of bits and pieces when the volume increased, things that you have to do to help your body during this new journey. Yeah,
exactly. So all the tools you had in your toolbox to help manage the added volume and stress on the body, because the body is not used to it. So we did honestly not really get started this year until a little bit late. So, it was like we were 6 months out and you were actually just starting. You didn't even have a base of like 1 mile on the run. And normally, just like I mentioned before with Dennis, like I like to have at least 3 months of base training, preferably even 6 months of base training before we even start the build to Ironman. So you guys were a little bit off the back. So then when we started to ramp up, these little things started to pop up. And yes, we have to definitely refer to our tools in our toolbox. And some of the best pictures you guys posted, we have a group chat, of course, that we all, supported each other with. You guys are so inspirational to everybody on the team, but I loved it on the Saturday and Sunday afternoons when you guys would be passed out and then take pictures of each other with your Normatec boots on. Right? Normatec was a huge help, right?
Yes, actually, there's a couple of things that the triathlon sport is pretty expensive, right? When you think about it, but if you buy your tools, it's going to help you during the process. So we invested in, many things. And one of the things was, the compression, boots.
Definitely.
I mean, if it wasn't for that, it totally repaired me. I took it with me to the Ironman too. That goes with me everywhere. But yes, we, and it's also helpful when you have someone with you that's in the same boat, even if it's not a spouse, it's a friend that you're in it together, and then you give each other tips and encouragement of it. But that was part of my tools too. Absolutely.
And you guys also use vibration gun therapy, like what was the hyper ice, right? You guys have the hyper ice.
Epsom salt baths as well.
Yep. Magnesium flake baths, right?
The chiropractor, the massages, all that. But you're nourishing your body, right? Because you're doing it towards the end of the training of the Ironman. The volumes are so high, like 5-hour days and 6-hour days that you have to nourish your back. So I feel blessed with that little thing that I have on my foot. I feel little compared what I did, in a short amount of time. The reason why it was a short amount of time is because, also 2020, I lost my dad in September. And then it was the world stopped for me. And then my mom, I was trying to settle her in her home, and we were with her 6 months. And then after that, when you say, I told you, okay, I'm ready now. My mom's settled in. My life is kind of, not in place, but you understand, a little bit more in the schedule. And you're like, I think we could do it, but you got to really put effort in it. And you got me there. And you really, I say, just trust the process. Just listen to your coach, either if it's, full circle, try to one, all these other ones, just listen to your coach. And if you don't have a coach, get an Erin, she'll get you there. But you have to really, trust the process of it.
You got to commit. I remember having that conversation where you were like, Erin, I don't know. Like, I really am not sure. Can I do this? And I was literally like, yes, 100%, I will get you there. There's no doubt in my mind that I will get you across that finish line and get you to start line feeling good, but we have to start now. Like the deadline is now. And finally, You guys really got organized, but you did have some setbacks besides the physical stuff, some nutrition setbacks. So why don't you like talk about all that stuff? Because that can be a journey in itself, right? Discovering what nutrition works for you. And we had to figure it out. Vitargo didn't work for you, right? So that's fine.
No,
right?
so actually what worked for me is I brought it. So I came to the point that I'll feel, you know, there's days that I would be swimming and feel nauseous. Or I remember one time bike riding as well, and I felt I was sleepy, like my eyes were shutting down.
Yes,
that was the most scariest thing. But I'm a task person. That day I was gonna do 100 miles. I did the 100 miles like that. I finished it, but I remember it was so hard. But it's a lot of trial and failure, and I recommend everybody, like, you know, one size doesn't fit all. But what helped me is, because I had a lot of problems with my tummy, like things wouldn't settle in, is I used a base. This is what I used.
Yeah.
I put this in my water bottle. I had, you know, the great part of it is 2 scoops has, you know, like 160 calories, and you said to have at least 250 an hour.
350.
So I will add this, and I will add a stinger.
Yes. Perfect.
Or I'll tell you later in the race, I had to use these.
Awesome. That's fine. Yeah.
Now the reason why I use this, and I had a lot of angels along the way with this process of the training. Carolina, she told me that, you know, this is what they use in the race, in the Ironman race. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me give it a try. So I tried this, and thank goodness, because I had my stinger and it was frozen.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
I was trying to get in my bag, and it was like biting a rock.
No way.
Because it was so cold over there.
So cold, yeah.
And if it wasn't that these were, you know, I picked this up at the stop, I'm like, okay. And let me tell you, it's a blessing that I have no nutritional problems, my stomach, nothing. And then they have another version. This is the caffeinated one, where you got to be careful because it's a lot. You got half or full, or they have the regular one as well. These were in the courses. So if you're going to do Ironman, just practice with this Morton gels.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to practice what they're going to have available on the race course, 100%. Okay, cool. So you dialed that in finally, and I would say just about 4 weeks out, actually maybe even less, 3 weeks out, we finally got that confidence.
Yes.
Finally had that confidence piece.
Yes.
And I do want you to mention that one swim, right? Because so I've known about Ironman Florida, and you don't know what you're going to get on race day. Big waves, big rollers, lots of wind, white caps. We don't know what we're going to get. So I just really, really encourage my athletes to swim in South Beach to experience the real ocean, right? So I told Adriana, you have to swim no matter what. And like she said, she's a task person. And so she ended up swimming. Tell that story with you and Cindy.
Oh my gosh. So I went with my friend that I taught her, Cindy. Yes, Cindy. So I called her, and she's wonderful. Like, along the way, I have Cindy, but a lot of people that support, and like, okay, we're going to go to swim. She went with me that day. We stared at the ocean that day. It was the worst day. There were people surfing. Okay. Right. So we look in the water for other colleagues, for other people to be swimming, and no one was out there. And Cindy and I look at each other, and we're like,
let's go.
Okay. We just bite the billet and go. So when we went in there, of course, after swallowing the waves and the waves and the waves and the waves, and we're trying to go deep because at some point, maybe the waves come down. Right. They didn't. And one of the waves was so funny that I'm swimming right beside Cindy, and Cindy ends up, one of the waves swallowed us, and I ended up like she was under my armpit, like we were hugging.
That's hilarious.
That's the funniest thing. And then we have waves, and we're cracking up at the same time, like, what the heck just happened? Right. So after a while, Cindy, you know, and it's gonna happen. It happened to many people. She got seasick. That's how tough the waves are. But I just had my task, and I kept on going. And because of that, when I did the Ironman Florida, I already knew that feeling of, oh my God, this is why people get seasick, because it kept on moving from side to side. Right. Side to side, and it wasn't as wavy. It was just a current, and that feeling that you're swimming, you're swaying, and you're not going anywhere. Right. So
no traction. Yeah.
I thought of that day so much when I was in my Ironman swim.
Yeah, because it was one of the worst days they've ever had for the swim as far as current. So the fact that all of my athletes, you know, came out of the water before the time cut off and didn't quit, honestly, I was just talking to people that I'm not sure I would have started because it was freezing cold, number one, and I hate to be cold.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
guys, you know, we had video of you. I had one of my coaches there and she was videotaping. You guys like ran into the water. You're like, yes. And you came out of the water with a giant smile on your face. I was like, oh, Adriana's going to be fine. I'm not worried about Adriana whatsoever. Right. So yeah.
The swimming for me was what the reason why I was like that, because I came in, first of all, I put myself in my mind, because when I was about to start, Mike gave me a hug,
yeah,
the announcer.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is my first Ironman. He goes, I couldn't tell. He said, because I had a small year, and I told myself, so many months of training, it's not I'm counting days anymore. It just became present, and I am gonna accomplish this. And I was very blessed that I was reached that moment.
Yes.
So and then I went out to swim. And then of course, when you start swimming, stuff like that, I started doing things like, you know what? I'm gonna do catch up.
Yes.
I'm gonna do catch up. I'm going to do catch up. And then that kind of calmed me down. I get catch up. You go against the buoys, that's a nightmare. Because personally, as a girl, I had to take care of my boobies, my chest, because the men, men or women, I guess, but mainly it was men, when they were getting tired, they would do a lot of breaststrokes, right?
Oh, wow.
So when those legs are popping out with full force, I was like so scared to get you get kicked I got kicked in the face. Even though I had a white, so I got scratched on my legs. They found the nails found me, you know?
Wow.
It was but then when I came out the first loop, I'm like, I accomplished my first loop. Yay. One more to go, Adriana. Then I went there and I'll just concentrate. Oh my gosh, the sun came out because it was so cold, Aaron. I cannot tell you, we were shivering. Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, the sun came out. That's a good thing. And then I saw seagulls. I was like trying to get my mindset to finish. So that's why I have a big smile when I got out of the water, because I was happy that I was able to accomplish that.
Yeah, I mean, you actually had a really decent time for how rough the current was and how strong the current was, right?
My time was 1:48, and my goal was supposed to be 1:35, not knowing the conditions, but I came out 24th in my age group for the swim.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So when you got out of the swim, I know you were super relieved, like you had to get your head in the game for the bike, right? So let's walk us through that part.
So I was blessed to have my children, which many people don't have. My son took off time from work. His girlfriend took time off, let the baby with the grandmother, the other grandmother to come. And my daughter came from Gainesville. So I was so blessed to have them. For me, is to have someone love you so much to drop everything to go see you and drive 9 hours was huge. Yeah. So the first thing, when I come out, I see my kids are, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom. And all I could think, like, okay, I have 1 down and 2 to go. Right. I have 1 down and 2 to go. That's all I could think about. Perfect. And having him cheer. So that's what pulled me through. Now, transition was extremely long for me. It was like 17 minutes. Like, if there's anything to improve is that. But I remember saying, and even JJ telling me, if you have to go to the bathroom and transit, just go. And that was the best thing ever, because I went to the bathroom and I felt like I peed a water bottle. I was like, and I'm like, oh, that's good. I'm not gonna have it on the bike ride. I took my time, Aaron, because I had to change. I wasn't gonna swim in 47 degrees. I mean, right clothes. So I changed. I put like a little blanket on. I changed. It took me long to put socks, my arm warmers. I had like a little sandwich there. I bit it. It was hard as a rock. I had to drop it. It was like everything was frozen. It was frozen. Oh my god. Frozen. And then I'm like, okay, let's go out to the bike. So that's how I mentally got ready for the bike. Yeah, and the bike was super windy. You guys had a headwind until mile 70, right? But we had a plan. Let's quickly talk about that, because you literally just got a power meter literally, like, I would say 4 weeks before the race. And yes, ma'am. I had begged you guys to get it sooner, but whatever happened, you know, that was the delay. But didn't that help you? Like, did you have like a little bit more purpose, like on the bike, as far as not worrying that you were working as hard as you could, but without blowing up, right? So I recommend I had power meter from before. I never trained with it because for some reason I had bad luck with power meters. It wouldn't work. They were on my bike, but they wouldn't work. So finally at 4 weeks, I'm like, let me get a power meter. It's like a power meter pedals. Yeah. it changed my life. And then you started, okay, you need a power, and imagine 4 weeks out, you need a power meter test. You need so we're hurrying up, squeezing everything in.
Yes.
And I did it. So if it wasn't, I tell everybody they should invest in a power meter and a good Garmin watch.
Yes.
If it wasn't for the power meter, I wouldn't make it. I was on target. I wanted to ride bike 16 miles an hour. That was my goal.
That was the goal,
because I want to last, because I never run 26 miles after. So I'm like, so if it wasn't for, so the headwind the whole time, I was going to my power meter. And then when it was tailwind, I stuck to my power meter and I felt like a superstar. I passed like gazillion people. I felt like I was Dennis. Like Cindy says, I felt like I was Dennis. Like, oh my God. And then you turn around, but I still had energy. And I was on the bike for 6 hours and 50 minutes. I was there for a long time.
It was a long
because I stopped at every station. I rebottled. And I remember I felt good to stop it a little bit and stretch a little bit.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I know for if I ever would to do it again, I know where I could tweak in. But for me, if it wasn't for the power meter, I wouldn't be able to make. And I was right on target with I was at 16.3.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and you really lucked out that the average was that, because on the way out you were averaging like 14 and 15, but then with the tailwind coming back, you were up at 18. So it all worked out to be exactly in the right speed based on the power meter, right? Because so many people don't understand that they can burn themselves out and then leave speed on the table with the tailwind. So having the power meter is so essential. Okay.
And I saw it, and I saw that happen along the way. I did.
Yeah. Okay. So you got off the bike, and it's always daunting, right? You're like, oh my God, 26 miles. What did you think to yourself, like at that moment when you came into transition?
I went to the bathroom.
Smart. And had a talk with yourself.
And I'm like, okay, I have a plan here. I go, I have run left. I have the run left. I'm gonna reach this goal that I have. It's a lot of talking to yourself. I'm like, I'm gonna get this done. So my first run, I did it, at 5 minutes, just walking. And then later started doing the walk run to ease into it. And I was actually feeling fine. In the beginning, no, I'll be honest, my feet got numb.
Yeah, because it was cold.
And then I will walk again and it will go away like the needles. And I got feet got numb. It could be a combination of being on the bike so long, pedaling in a headwind, which is, it was really hard pedaling through that. And also it was cold. So my feet, it was like a combination. It was a messy race. But anyways, so I kept them on, and all of a sudden I got my momentum. I got my I would do 5 minutes on, 1 minute off. I would do that. And I was right on pace for all my run until mile 18. But in the beginning of the run, I hear, and I look over, my son rented a golf cart with his girlfriend and my daughter, and they were like filming me.
That's
awesome.
And
I'm like, oh my gosh. So and it was great. I'm telling you, my kids are wonderful. And also along the way, spectators are so important. Like if you know someone's racing, support them. Support them, because there were people dressed up. There was people playing music that you're like, oh my gosh, I could get something in my head now.
Right.
Yeah,
a little song.
A
song virus.
Whatever.
A song virus to keep you moving, right? The whole idea is never stop moving. And then you did have a little bit of setback, right? Because your watch died, right?
So 18 miles, I'm like, okay, I hit the wall there. My watch died. And then that's what kept me like kill time mentally, right? Because you're paying attention to the time. Okay, I have a quarter mile left. I have a mile there, this whole thing. But nutrition-wise, I have to mention, I would do every 3 miles, I would do the nutrition, right? And every hour, I will have a salt tap and 2 perfect aminos.
Perfect. I love it.
That kept me not having the cramps. So I kept on going. And then when I didn't have my watch anymore, of course, that was difficult. I was asking people on the street, what time is it? I was so scared to miss the cutoff or, and like, you have so much time. I'm like, well, yeah, but I want to see it.
It was so funny because I was watching from home on the app, and I was like, at that time, I'm like, what happened? what happened to Adriana? Like, she's not moving forward as much. Like, you completely fell off pace.
Yep.
And I know that's why. That must have been what happened. And I didn't know
Yep.
this until afterwards that your watch died. But that watch is so important. So just for future, like if we ever do this again, or you guys out there, just make sure you use a bike computer for the bike and
Yes.
then save your watch for the run.
Yes.
Because you might have a setback. Like, you weren't supposed to be out there. Our goal was 14 hours, right? Our goal was like right about 14 hours, but because of the swim, you know, the
Yes.
conditions, you know, we had to adjust, and the time go out the window, but then you have to adjust for your nutrition, right? And your
Right.
watch, right? So
Yeah.
those are things that came up that we really weren't expecting.
Right.
So yeah, so you finally got down to the finish chute, and what happened?
So I'm going down the corner. It's like 3 miles left. My kids are there patiently. Mom, go. And in my head, I'm saying run, but my legs were not communicating. I had a girl next to me. She was walking. I was running. I'm like, okay, but if I walk now, I'm gonna be like crawling next to her.
Right.
So it was like I was still thinking the last 3 miles. My daughter said, "Just imagine, Mom, when we were running together in Old Color Road.
Yeah, only 3
I had my
miles left.
son playing music for me.
Yeah.
I had my daughter-in-law, like all this love, and I'm like, okay, even people who's still out there, you know, in that cold weather, because they got really colder, you know, when breezy.
When it went down.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going. Around the corner, who do I see before the end? Is Mike Esteves.
Go, Adriana!
Oh my God, that was like such a nice, Adriana, you got this. And I had my son, Mom, that's my mom, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And then I came out with my arms around because people were high-fiving you. I'm like, this is the moment, you know, this is the moment that I was blessed to accomplish.
Yeah.
And then that's how it went. And along the way, I do have to mention training with people and racing people that love you, like you know, your colleagues. I had Jessica, Elise, Jesse, Christopher, my husband hugging me in the middle of the thing. It was like, I was just remembering to keep it all like the video in my head, like this, keep this movie in your heart, you know?
Right. For sure.
And then I got it.
And so I don't know who took the video of you. I think it was Dennis, but you do like an angel. Your arms are spread open like this, and you're high-fiving everybody as you go
my
down
son.
the finish chute. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, I'm like crying. I'm like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful video I've ever seen. Like, and you can hear Mike Riley saying your name, Adriana Phipps, you are an Ironman, and like goosebumps everywhere, right? It's like the best feeling ever, right?
And it was the best feeling. And all I had is smiles. All I had is like a lot of emotions, like the journey of of you, my coaches. I have Jack, Oli's out there in the cold. I have Domingos training me in the track. Yeah. I have Bella, like, okay, I want to run like Bella. I want to run like Danny. I was like, you're mentally changing of all the people, Heather, all your friends, like all the people, that are involved in this training. Yeah. All these people make a piece of the pie for this accomplishment that I was able to go through.
Exactly. Yeah. And the fact that all those people were your inspiration to cross the finish line, right? Every one of those people that you trained with somehow provided some kind of inspiration when you really needed it, right? And then, of course, having your family there and your husband waiting for you across the finish line is pretty special as well.
And my daughter, my son, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like forever a memory. And and my mom, she wished she could have been there. I'm like, Mom, you couldn't have been here to go. Yeah. But all my family and everything. So yeah, it's a great accomplishment. I'm happy, and I know the good thing, where you could grow from it.
Yes.
But I am very satisfied under the conditions that the race was, and under the conditions of how I run, that I was able to accomplish it, and I didn't give up, most importantly.
Yeah, and a lot of people did give up, right? And no problem to those people as well. Sometimes you have to give up, but I'm super, super, super proud of you, young lady.
Thank you.
I can't believe we finally did it, right? 3 years in the making, and you finally crossed the finish line, right? So we had the goal 3 years ago, and we finally did it. So of course, I have to ask you, what is next?
So I always, before this, I'm not gonna do any more late races, long races. Ironman for me, it is, you have to have a lot of time, and I want to check it off my bucket list,
Yeah.
But if I do, I'm flirting with the idea to do the half irons now.
Okay.
And
cool.
what I'm planning to do is now that I have this level, I want to maintain it, don't lose what I had, because it took a lot of work to get where I am now.
Right.
And probably Cozumel, I was thinking about, or the one in Portugal,
Okay,
or,
cool.
like something that you do an extended stay and kind of make it, a trip out of it.
A race.
Yes.
With a better destination than Panama City. The Redneck Riviera. But yeah, now that you have this experience, you can do anything, right? And you have so much experience on the swim and the bike and the run. Like, this is just one of those things that was a culmination of all these years, actually 10 years, right?
Yes,
so I did want to mention one thing, if you don't mind, because you trained with me in the beginning, like 10 years ago, and then you kind of fell away and whatever, and you came back. So can you share a little bit about how the coaching was different and how maybe Full Circle has changed and supported you in different ways, like through the nutrition program and for the coaching call?
So I never left you.
I never
left you. I just reduced my number, whatever. So, but the good thing that helped me totally is the nutrition plan that I did with you. I mean, it gives you more energy. It was an investment for me to learn, and I encourage people to get on it. You learn and you take it with you the rest of your life. Like you fall off the wagon and you know how to get back on, like that. Instead of it was very structured. So I learned that. I learned of how, well, you proved it also with this Ironman training, like constant communication, right? Like we had to pivot a lot with my injuries, with whatever, with my neck. I mean, we had to pivot a lot. So it was very good. Like it wasn't like something like, cut and paste. You customize everything, and constant communication, which helped me pull through this. And the best therapist there is for the whole team, because I can imagine you give us confidence, like, don't worry, you got this. That's a constant communication with that. And I see when we go to track, and your swimming's amazing, like, you have this way instant, like Dennis has with the bike fittings, like, you just get it intuitive, and you get it. So that's why I'm forever yours.
Thank you. Well,
forever
I'm
yours.
honored. I'm super honored. And like I said, I couldn't be more proud of you. And, you're Iron Abuela from now on. Can you imagine your granddaughters gonna be like, yeah, my grandmother did an Ironman. Like, how cool is that?
I know what I want to do for anyone that wants to do this, what I learned around, I want to give some tips along the way. Practicing nutrition.
Yes.
For sure. Practice your nutrition. Not the day you're gonna race, before that.
Yes.
Okay.
Practice. In the training.
Practice with the outfit you're gonna train in. Because I bought an outfit and it cut up my whole leg during training. That was bleeding and everything. So practice what you're gonna wear. Get a power meter.
Yes. Good tips. All good
Get
tips.
a Garmin. And then you could and test, do your races by power. And like, now I feel so much confident because now I know how to train with power. So
so it's really training by numbers instead of by volume, right? So instead of having just volume of training, we had numbers to be accountable to. We had intervals to help you be stronger. We had strength training, right? So numbers and skill is really where it comes down to help improve, right? And if you don't train that way, a lot of people just get so injured and so burnt out that they never come back to the sport, right? So the fact that you guys crossed the finish line and you're like, you told me how good you feel today, like there's nothing wrong, right?
I can't believe, like, I'll be honest, the next day, that night, me getting out of the car, I couldn't even step anywhere because it was so cold. It was so cold. And that night I took a warm shower. That wasn't enough. And then I had an Epsom salt bath. And then I had my compress. And then that night I couldn't even lay on my side because your body's like saying, how many hours are you doing this?
Right. In shock.
The next day, I did a lot of the compression boots. And then we had to drive 9 hours home.
I know. That's a brutal
the next
drive.
day.
Yeah.
And then after that, the fifth day, Well, we were there. We were actually cheering people up in Miami Man.
Miami Man. Yeah, you guys were the cheerleaders.
Yeah, so it felt really good that I'm like, that has to do, and this is not the first time because it happened to me with Costa Rica too. That has to do with proper training.
Yeah.
If you have proper training, then you should be feeling okay after certain days, obviously. But
right. Yeah.
I feel great. I feel great.
Awesome. Okay, well, cool. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, that'll be all. That if you guys, if you don't have a coach, this woman right here got me to my goal, and her whole team and our whole team. So if you want to give us, if you want to have some of our love, just reach out to us.
Thanks, Adriana. All right, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for sharing your journey. I know it's going to inspire someone else who might be hesitating about it, right, and not so sure about it, right? And that's why we do these lives, to share. First of all, congratulate you for all your hard work, but also to be an inspiration to other people that might be considering that it's totally possible. And yes, you can, right?
Yes, you can. And trust the process.
Yes, trust the process. All right, girls. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.